saw lightning.
Far West Texas is when you drive south off of I-10, and it's like this corner that you kind of have to be going to end up there. It's not on the way to anything else. And you've got a couple small little towns that are just out in the middle of this vast wilderness. And Marfa is one of them. It's a journey to get here. You have to want to be here. There are locals, longtime locals in Marfa, who can speak to the history and what this place is much more in depth than I can. But it is sort of this strange art town in the middle of the desert, in the Chihuahuan Desert. It's about an hour north of the Mexican border in far West Texas. It's not West Texas, it's far West Texas. And so there's longtime locals that have been here for generations, there's ranchers, and then we have this sort of New York level art scene that was sort of started by Donald Judd in the 70s. And so it's a real interesting mix of people, and with those different groups, there's a lot of challenges as well. A lot of wealth has come into the city over the last 20 years especially. So housing is an issue in some of the same ways that it's occurring in the big cities with gentrification. I am a writer, and I was on a road trip with my partner going across the US to look at large-scale land art. I was trying to write while doing that, and I met this agent. He was like, you need to stop driving, you need to sit your butt down at a desk and focus. And so we thought, okay, that's a good idea. We were like, well, Marfa would be a good spot to do that. So we came here just getting a rental for a couple months, and then it just became more permanent. And we ended up buying a house. And I've been living here for 7 months. So the name of this place is the 10 by 10 Lightbox. So the profile is 10 by 10. The architect, Candid Rogers, wanted to keep that profile throughout. You know, some people think that they say, oh, it's a container house, but it's actually not. It's a stick-built with a Corten siding. There's like real insulation. It was built from the ground up.
And then, so there's two skinny buildings next to each other. Why is that?
The thought was originally when Candid, the architect, built this place this was not a full-time living residence. It was meant as a getaway. He lives in San Antonio, and so this was a weekend thing or maybe a week-long thing. And he had a good friend that he wanted to come with him. So the friend actually built this house, and they're meant to be kind of in relationship with each other. Obviously they're close together, and that speaks to the nature of their friendship, from what I understand. At some point they both sold, and so yeah, now we own this place and another family owns that one. We are very close. Yeah. So one of the first things that people notice when they come in here is that there is no kitchen, no proper kitchen. We got a refrigerator. I put this microwave oven here, and that's it, really. We've got the sink in here. I've got a hot plate. I love to cook, and that was the biggest adjustment at first, is basically to cook anything, I have to take out the hot plate. I usually set it here and then plug it in, and then I get my pans down. And so anytime you cook anything, it's kind of a big project, but it doesn't take too long, and got everything I need right here, and it's doable. I made a peach cobbler last week with fresh peaches, and I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen in this stovetop oven, but it turned out great. You know, humans are adaptable, you get used to anything, and it's just become part of my life now. The person that we bought the house from, he was a woodworker. He was the one actually that paneled all of the entire house, really every surface. And he built this custom furniture. Everything in here is modular and functional. So like, this is a seat, but it's also my pantry, and there's a random cord in there as well. So everything has a purpose and has been very carefully thought out. But yeah, it's all sort of open view, so I think there's a certain amount of discipline that comes with living in a space this small. Yeah. So I can move my yoga mat, and I have just enough space to do Zoom yoga right here. When I'm here by myself, it's easy. When my partner's here, it's a little harder. 2 people. Also, you'll notice there's no bathroom door. So, you know, it's a good thing we love each other. So, this is out. This kind of comes out like. And yes, I've had, I think, 5 people at a time at this table, and it's been just fine. So we're kind of staggered. And you know, when the weather's nice, we can have this pulled up so everything's open to the outside. It's fine, it's comfortable.
The space is everything. I mean, it's your kitchen, it's your table, it's...
Yeah, and that was a concern when we bought the house. I've never lived in a space this small. And I also had claustrophobia in New York. So I was not as interested in extreme living. So I was concerned that the smallness might be a problem, but it hasn't. I honestly love living here. I'm so grateful every day I wake up that I get to live here. What's fun about this ladder is it's actually a boat ladder. I'm very used to it now, but when we first moved here, especially if you had a glass of wine or 2, it's like very, very careful. It's a very strange thing to walk up if you're not used to it.
So up here is actually quite big.
Yeah, it really is.
It feels bigger than down below, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of space, and we've got a queen bed. We've got a beautiful view. I don't know if you can see it of the Dollar General, and the whole city and the sky. Like, this view is, I love it. I love it.
And it's all the same wood?
Yes, it's all the same wood. It's like a little jewel box. It kind of has almost like a Finnish sauna feel. It's very warm. It doesn't feel like the exterior is kind of cold and minimalist with the Corten, but the inside, when you walk in, it's just like this warm, earthy tones, and it's, I think it's lovely.
Is this a desk then? I mean, is that...
It is a desk. So everything up here, also custom furniture. Everything serves a double purpose. There's storage in here. There's storage under the bed. Yeah, I think it's just messy. No. It's winter clothes and blankets and stuff. So I have my summer wardrobe out right now. The winter wardrobe is under the bed, and I've got blankets and jackets that are kind of in between for easy access under here. And then this slides back. That's my side, that's my clothing. And then my partner has the other side. This is the like things that need hanging. I managed to wear a lot of different outfits, even with the limited space. People are always like, where do you put all your clothes? But I mean, it fits.
Because you have the experience of traveling with just a little bit, right?
Yeah. So my partner and I, when we first met, he invited me to join his summer adventure from Istanbul to London. And the rules were couch surfing, no itinerary. And right before we left, he called me and he's like, let's just get on the plane with what we're wearing. So we did. You know, I wrote a book, No Baggage, about the experience, and I always tell people it's not something I recommend for everyone. I learned a lot about myself by doing it, but I actually love fashion. I love clothes. I love shoes. I wear a lot of black in the desert. It's New York holdover. It's not really great for the dust, but it's my favorite.
Do you have like 1 or 2 things that you have worn on a trip for weeks that works?
Actually, yeah. This is one I wore to, which one was this? This was a jumpsuit that I wore from, I think it was Portugal and Spain was that trip. So I just wore that the whole time. And Yeah, that's actually one of the outfits. That's funny. And then what's interesting about these windows, depending on what height you're at, you get a different experience of the desert. So when you're laying in bed, you can see the sky and the landscape. When you stand up, you can see the cactus down below. And when you look out the window, you see just the whole sky. So there's always a different view up here. I am more attuned to the light, both moon and sun, than I've ever been before. So in the winter, the sun rises here almost to the south, and then, through the day it goes like that. I've never lived this close to nature, to wilderness, and I love it. I love all the animals. And the plants and the animals too. I've kept a log since I've been here. Just like what comes up when did the birds from Mexico flying north to Canada. You live around here? You can hear the javelina walking on the gravel at night, the wild. They're not exactly pigs, but they're kind of like that. So very attuned to all the wildlife.
Do you find that it becomes your television then?
Yeah, I've watched almost no TV. I just there's so much stimulation here, and I like just to honestly watch the clouds sometimes. I know that sounds kind of silly, but that's definitely a pretty prime activity out here.
Really
it's
special.
always changing.
And huge. I don't know why
Yeah.
the sky feels so big.
Why does it? I've written about this. I'm like, it's the same size as every other sky, but it feels just massive.
And so, do you think you spend more time up here, or because in some ways, this almost feels more the living space because it's
kind of. I think what's interesting about the house is that the windows definitely connect you to the outside experience, but also anytime you're living in a small space, you sort of naturally gravitate outside. There's no. If you'll notice, there's not even a soft place to sit other than the bed, so we got to go outside. We have the chairs outside. So yeah, I spend a good portion of each day outside.
Try it.
All right, let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Tiny house. So the original design of this house was meant to really connect you with the outdoor space. The man that lived here before me put in the glass and the plexi. So it's a lot heavier than what was originally here, and so it's hard to flip up, but it is possible. I like when it's open.
Keep that.
Yeah.
This weather probably invites the use of the outside,
Yeah. It does get cold in the winter here, but we've seen a couple other houses in Marfa where they do that. It's paved all the way. Maybe you have everything in a line, and so you can walk barefoot all the way through, and maybe there's some kind of shelter on either side, but you do walk outside to get to the other portions of the house. I will pour a little white wine. How about that? We may even enclose this because any kind of shade is just so vital, and create an additional living space out here. The other thing I really like about this house is that there's a full shower. There's no kitchen, but there's a full shower. This is the bathroom, and it's kind of cave-like and dark, which is sort of relief from the sun outside. That was the idea. Then we got a full walk-in shower, which is great. I love that, and regular size toilet and everything. Everything here is also meant to be modular and storage friendly, so this pulls out. And upstairs, these also slide open, kind of the medicine cabinet. And there's I have more space than I need for storage.
Do you have to be more organized though, because everything's on display?
Yes, you have to be disciplined. You gotta fold clothes, put them away. When you get the food, you gotta put it away. I like a really clean space, so I do clean quite a lot. All right, so my mini library. We've also talked about, building a real kitchen, building another module, or maybe even 2 more modules, not directly connected to the house, but just to extend the living footprint, because we are people that live here full time as opposed to using it as a guest house. This morning I had to clear out all the black widow spiders from under the patio furniture. We got snakes, we got black widows, scorpions, tarantulas. Yeah, it's fun.
How often are you outside here?
Every day, multiple times a day. Yeah.
Like sitting out here? You
Yeah. I mean, I just like, I have this amazing view and a little bit of shade, and I'm here all the time. This is a really special spot in Marfa because it's right on the edge of the desert. We're facing south here. This is a ranch land out here, and nothing's ever going to be built. Everything out here, it's so hard. You can't go to Home Depot. So everything that's built, you've got to be creative. You've got to use what you have. So these are railroad ties. The kind of ruin back here is also made out of railroad ties. You see a lot of tin. It's cheap. It's easy to manipulate. You can get it here. And then just plywood, bones, like whatever you can find, and then kind of scrap together. That's what you work with. You got to use what you have, or you pay a lot to have it shipped here. Either way, you're going to work hard to do anything out here. So that's another part of like, you got to want to be here to be here. Chickens, how are we doing? A few survivors. We tried to raise chickens this spring and something got them all, and so we tried again, and most of those have died. Like this is the desert, and we're right on the edge of it. I like the desert life, the like small town life, way more than I expected. I've pretty much only lived in big cities. It's extreme, and I like extreme things, so I'm happy, but it's definitely taught me some lessons already. The dust storms come through sometimes. The wind can get up to like 35 miles an hour and the whole house shakes. It's an experience. And then when the lightning storms come, I'm like, I guess this place is grounded, but I'm in a giant metal box, and you know, it's crazy storms. And so you're connected to the weather that way too. There's just like a real spirit here that is wide open and kind of magical. I don't know, you know it when you're here.